Services, the Jackson Director, Zoe Lyons. Good morning.
Good morning.
You brought these.
I did. It's about at the end of the month, but they're good for a long time. They stay up in front of our office for as long as folks want to leave them there.
They are in honor of Child Abuse Prevention Month,
They are.
That should be every month. But
Correct.
Of course.
Right. That's why it's never too late to
That's
talk
right.
about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're going to talk a little bit about positive childhood experiences and kind of what those are and kind of how they affect you.
Right.
Stuff that may seem common every day to you and I, but are very important to people that really don't have as much love in their life.
Right. Right. So we've talked a lot about adverse childhood experiences, and my co-trainer, Dr. Bob Powell from Family Service, and I have trained over 10,000 people on adverse childhood experiences. And one of the things that folks want to know is, okay, and what can I do now? And so this new research that has come out on positive childhood experiences has sort of answered that. And we have created these flyers. I'd like to thank the Jackson County ISD. Thank you. They helped us create these flyers and some posters, which we're going to get some bigger posters. But it is a way for the members of our community and for the family members of our children to know what we can do about childhood trauma.
I would hate to be a kid again at this. Would you? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's tough.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
so different. It's got to be so much more challenging. Life, well, it was just simpler. There's no
Right.
phones, no internet.
It was,
Right.
but it was still tough being a kid, I think.
It's tough being a kid.
It's tough being a kid, but it's even
Yeah.
tougher if you are seeking some of these everyday things that, if you don't have maybe a mother and father. Talk a little bit about having two adults outside of your parents who genuinely care.
So folks will hear me talk about caring adults. Sometimes I'll just say it because I'll hear something and be like caring adult. Because when you hear people say, well, what was it? You've been through so much in your life. What was it that helped you to get to this successful point? And they'll say, I had a coach. I had a teacher, I had a grandparent, and caring adult. So having two in your life equals one positive childhood experience.
When you grow up without receiving any of this, feedback, positive experiences, is it harder for you to emotionally support folks when you do become a parent?
Yeah, so what the science tells us about our brains is that when we experience trauma as children, our brains just don't develop in the same way. And that's one of the things that we hope people understand is that for people who have had some awful childhood trauma, it really has affected their brain. So the way that they act now isn't a choice that they're making. It's literally how their brain is guiding them. So it's about providing some understanding for that, and then knowing about adverse childhood experiences as a parent. Now you have some understanding. Now you know, okay, my brain might be reacting a little bit differently. So maybe I go to therapy for that. Maybe I learn some meditation. Maybe I do some self-reflection or just talk to someone. All of the types of things that are sort of self-care are things that can help an adult sort of get through the childhood trauma that they've had.
Yeah, and I would imagine that it's a domino effect that they're going to treat their kids or kids in their life like they were treated growing up.
It can. It's not, there's no cause and effect to it. So there are lots of folks who had childhood adversity in their lives and they're wonderful parents. They've never provided their child with any traumatic experiences in their lives. And it can end up that way.
Do folks that grow up without the positive experiences have a hard time accepting emotional support later in life?
Potentially, yeah. It can lead to mental health issues. It can lead to substance abuse problems. It can lead to just criminal behavior, and some of those things sort of push people away, right? And sort of help protect the person inside, but doesn't protect them from what's happening.
We say child abuse and neglect, two different things, but still with the adverse effect on the kids.
Right.
Give us an example, abuse, neglect.
So neglect is failing to provide something. So a parent who fails to provide love and affection and just the sort of love that we need as children, that would be emotional neglect. Physical neglect is food, clothing, shelter, that isn't provided. Abuse, on the other hand, is something that is active harming. So in addition to not providing love, it's also maybe name calling, threatening, some of that verbal abuse. And then physical abuse is physically hurting. So hitting, kicking, punching of a child by an adult.
Yeah, bullying isn't just kids versus kids. It can be an adult that does it to kids. I've seen it. You've seen it.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
It's
awful.
it's staggering when you see that. And
So when it's a parent and a child, we call that mental injury or emotional abuse. But the science has looked at brains of children. They do MRIs of children, and the brains of children who have been bullied in middle school and high school look just like the brains of children who have been mentally injured by their parent. So when we think about how important peers are as well, you'll notice that some of these positive childhood experiences are about having a friend group that is supportive or feeling a sense of belonging in high school, because as we get older, those peer relationships are almost important literally in our bodies as our parents and caretakers.
very interesting.
All right, we'll model these positive childhood experiences. Maybe pick one each day and figure out a way that you're going to impact someone's life. And we appreciate all the efforts that you and your department put on growing our kids up healthy and safe. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
We're going to try to put these out everywhere, so
Awesome.
hopefully
Thanks,
they
Zoe.
can be seen around town.
From the MDHHS Jackson Director, Zoe Lyons. We'll be talking about downtown Jackson coming up next.